that a lot of my dancer friends have moved home, because of this, this.
I was thinking about one of them. I'm gonna ask you offline.
Okay.
I mean, we could segue for a second.
Commercial break.
Commercial break.
You are now watching Cocktails and Conversations with your host, Javante Wilson.
Open up, you OPN, bitch, you won't BBM.
Hey guys, welcome to a new episode of Cocktails and Conversations. I'm your host, Javante Wilson. I am joined by my amazing friend, Leo, the Great.
Hey.
And Miss Carlisha.
What's up?
And so we're going to be having conversations about the trans experience. We have an amazing, beautiful Carlisha here that is willing to be open with us and answer some questions for us that we all may have. And I talked to Carlisha before, and she said she's open to answering those questions. So
Let's go.
let's do it. So we're going to start with a check-in. So start with you, Carlisha.
With given today's climate, the realities of the world, how Miss Corona decided to show up and show her ass.
All the way.
I think it's fair to say that, like all of us, we're trying to find the moments of joy and maximize them. Take every day by day, and just learning the power of breathing. Because, I mean, everything is so high, and I find myself angry at Food for Less just because I have a freaking mask on, and I'm shopping, and it's like, okay, so it's already like you're crowded.
Yeah.
Right? You're already crowded in a grocery store. Now I'm crowded with a mask on,
Yes.
so now it's like I'm gonna kick your kid. Before I would have said, ask you to say, I'm your child. Now it's just like. So this is where you lean into the power of breathing.
Yeah.
I know. I'm learning
Which
a
you
lot
can barely
about
breathe.
Yeah.
I never thought about that.
I'm learning a lot about patience during this time, about breathing, picking and choosing my battles.
I love it.
And kicking the kid is one of them that you were just.
You know what? Some kids need to be kicked, but
Hey.
I'm from a different generation.
I said like the whole generation, grandma, grandfather,
So you got kicked.
nephews, kids. Yeah. A lot of
I
all
got
that.
kicked too.
You can always tell when someone you can
I
always
got kicked.
There's that sense of you pull together. I feel like
But you knew the kick was coming by way of just like an eyebrow or like a key jungling.
absolutely
different
or that
times.
look.
Leo.
Well, I've been good. I'm blessed. Fortunately, I've been able to keep my job through this entire process, full-time job, while being in the dance industry. That has shut down slow. I was telling Carlisha earlier that a lot of my dancer friends have moved home, because of this, this.
I was thinking about one of them. I'm gonna ask you offline.
Okay.
I mean, we could segue for a second.
Commercial break.
Commercial break. The power of editing.
Right, literally. And so, unfortunately, like I said, I've been blessed to be able to continue to work full time. With the grace of God, I even got a raise during this time, which I wasn't even expecting to get until next year. And then what else? Fitness. I love fitness. Lord Jesus.
Talk about that.
That was personal.
It was so personal.
It was a twitch.
I felt. Sidebar.
What?
We worked out today.
I knew it. I knew it was something.
Go ahead.
You'll see that vlog in a minute.
Yeah. Oh,
But
God.
fitness, I'm very passionate about fitness. And so this whole quarantine process, the first time we were really on a huge lockdown, I was just like, okay, this is not going to last that long. And I was just eating donuts, cookies, everything until when we were able to at least get out and about. I had an audition. for Beachbody. It's
Oh.
a fitness video. And I was just like, oh, looked at myself in the video and I was just like, oh God, have mercy. Things just slipped away. Slipped.
It's
So-
easy to happen.
Yes, and they opened the gym for a month, only to close it back down. But now this second go round, I'm determined to at least maintain a whole different lifestyle.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about it, but I got to 200 pounds. I'm too short for 200.
Ain't nothing wrong with it.
I'm too short for 200.
It happened to me. I was 200.
But you're taller and you
Wait.
wear it better. I'm
Now, no, you're not 200, but just
oh, right.
no.
Well, I mean,
I see
yeah.
it. No, just.
So, no, I, the same like Leo, I have been very blessed to keep a job during this pandemic. I also got a raise during this pandemic. I was a little bummed. Remember I was sharing with you that something, I had a great phone call.
Oh yeah.
So, long story short, I can talk about it now since I'm not going to be part of the casting. I know.
It didn't fall through.
It fell through. So someone reached out to me regarding a talk show with all black gay men, and they work with the producers of the Jimmy Kimmel Show. And yeah, and they were putting something together. However, I think the way that the person went about it, trying to bring me in, they were trying to slight someone else. And the person, I guess that person put the act together because I guess they were being difficult to work with.
Oh,
And
they
so-
already have a diva.
Mhm.
I love that.
Mhm.
That's good TV.
And so we did like the Zoom calls of the run through of the show and everything and how everything was gonna go. And it was very exciting. And they actually start taping today. And I got a
I need a
call
refund. I would have called for
Friday,
that
I
refund.
think, Friday that they're gonna go ahead and go with that person. So I was a little bummed about that, but life is still amazing and great. So
You're here
yeah.
with me.
And we're going to continue doing cocktails and conversation till this good stuff.
A whole production.
Period.
Just FYI, because I don't think y'all can see the BTS, but I am amazed at this. By the way.
Well, we'll be right back with some more cocktails and conversations. Welcome back to Cocktails and Conversations. And so now we're going to jump into Carlisha's story. We just want to hear about your story, like where you're from. She was sharing with us, she's from, what is it called again?
The Bay Area.
Okay,
Okay,
but with these are the
I
hyphy.
said where we go hyphy and go dim.
Period.
But listen, it didn't start there for me. So
Oh, really?
my story is a little unique because my parents broke up when I was 3. And I
Mhm.
was born in San Luis Obispo but lived in Morro Bay. And because of the parents separating, I ended up living with my mother, and my father then left with his now wife. So I feel like my childhood was a big contributing factor to a lot of the challenges that I had growing up. But needless to say, it was a lot of drama. There was a lot of abuse. There was a lot of poor parental guidance. It was just like a very reckless childhood. And as an adult, I now realize the reason why I've had opportunities with like partners, friends, relationships is because the first 2 people who are initially supposed to show you like structure and love and be your number ones weren't. So my childhood was really, really fucked up. So fast forward a little bit, my father started realizing I was different. Now, born in 81, and you just have to think about what was going on in the media and being queer at that time. There was RuPaul was kind of like our big television sensation. there was the boom of Madonna Vogue, so we were starting to see queer expression on television, and for a young black child who is finally starting to like build their zhuzh, find their fingerprint. I was dancing at that age, and I don't know why my father was thinking, you know, to curb what I'm seeing, we're gonna put the kid in dance, where there's lots of flamboyant expression.
Yeah.
And I learned to twirl. You know what? It's weird because it's the older I get, I start remembering these little side conversations where like people are like, "Oh my God, your kid's so amazing, such an incredible dancer, stage presence." And the conversation with my dad was, "But you're not gay, right? Like you're not gay."
Oh,
and it's like for it, my like moment of, look, I'm amazing at something turned into, but you're not gonna embarrass me. So it was like, even as a child, you're like, oh no, I'm not gay, but am I a good twirler, Dad? Did you see the twirl?
Right,
No,
right,
no,
right,
we missed that one. Okay, cool.
Right.
So once my father started realizing I was different, he put me out at 11, and then that put me in Sacramento, and I lived with my mom. But I will say when I lived with my father in San Luis was when I really started questioning the constructs of sexuality, questioning the constructs of just like gender,
And how old were you
everything. Like around 11, it really became. Well, you got to think about it. I'm seeing RuPaul, and I can't talk to anyone
Yeah.
around me about what I'm seeing. But I noticed that when I see RuPaul, I'm getting a little antsy, and it's not because that's gross. It's because hold on a second.
Yeah.
We can do that.
Yeah.
That's a possibility.
Wow.
And I remember like talking to my cousin, who's also trans. It's crazy.
Wow.
He's now a trans man, and that's when the conversation around sexuality started. So I was bi. By 7th grade, I was bi. And that's the age where my father put me on. I lived with my mom. My mother was not prepared to take care of a child first and foremost. From the separation, and my father fought for custody for me, which was a shit show, just like a power struggle between parents, and I was a chess piece. He didn't want me. Mother started a complete different life. So when I got dropped off at her door, she was like, "Oh shit, so you could sleep over there, I guess."
Oh wow.
But it allowed me this really fucked up time to figure shit out. So I was watching stuff I probably shouldn't have been watching, and going places I shouldn't have been going, and dealing with adults that I shouldn't have been dealing with. But I remember watching The Crying Game for the first time around like maybe 11, 12, maybe 13, and seeing my first trans person. I was watching a T.S. Madison special when she talked about this. I was like, shut up, that's my story too! Because it's so true, and I understand why it's so important that today we have diversity on television. There's so many different representations, because for someone trying to search for something they can't put their finger on, being able to see a trans person in the 90s in a movie, and I was like,
and so that it's interesting that
that's me. But now it's like you have this secret. The moment you have a secret, you have a question.
Yeah, I want to pause there really quick, because I think you said something really important, and I have an issue with the way that media displays our people majority of the time. So I haven't seen the movie that you're referring to, but I hope
The Crying Game?
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm hopefully.
It was a very
it was a
point.
good-
No, I mean, you know what? It's unfortunate, to your point. Everything in the media surrounding just trans expression is extremely poorly done. I mean, let's be honest, within the last year, Hollywood is now taking accountability for their missteps in representation of people of color, trans folk, queer folk. I mean, they've been doing some fucked up misogynist shit since day one, right? And we're either prostitutes, we are drug addicts, for the homeless, but like they love trauma porn. In Hollywood. So I mean, hopefully, you know, some of these execs can get kicked out, and we could start filling them up with people who are up to the time.
And that's funny because I literally, and this is not even a conversation I had with him when I sent you the message about the show. You know, my last thing that I said to you was, you know, seeing her speak and how she carries herself. You know, I wanted to really bring her on because there's not a lot of.
But that's the thing. There are a lot of us. It's just the media doesn't choose to give us enough light.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Space for us.
Yes, it's not inclusive. It's only if they're looking for the ones that are extra flamboyant or ones that come with drama. Like even on the
they want you to
shows.
fit a certain bill as far as aesthetic.
Like reality
there's a
shows.
typecast for the trans women now. Yeah,
even
and
even
it's almost
for
like a
gay men.
cis-identified trans woman. You have to fit a hetero cis normative to be accepted first and foremost, and that's a fucking problem. But I mean, that's just the tip
the
of
whole
the
story. And even gay men, like it's not just like me and you, we're just regular. Now we have to have hoops,
That's
earrings,
the
yes
when it's the black gay man, in my opinion, I feel like they have paint a successful story for a white gay man or a white and black gay man, but not two black gay men together. It's like
black in media as a whole is a stereotype, but that's something that we need to do our part in debunking and stop supporting. And I hate to even say this, like Tyler Perry. You're so incredible in what you're doing, the space you're creating. Stop making us characters. Like, break the broken black woman mold. I'm so sick of the waiting till expo I can do all that by myself.
You already know what's gonna happen by the end of the.
I want a fucking fairy tale. Can I have a Bridget Jones?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Can I have an Uptown Girl moment? Can I have a Notebook? You know what I'm saying? But I always have to have some story of trauma where by the end of it I see my love interest behind bars and our struggle of how we're gonna make it. I'm sick of that story. I know that story. Done. Queen and Slim, I'll never go. What? I'm sticking to the 90s and early 2000 on DVD because I need my Love Jones. I need movies that enrich me as a black woman. Because I'm tired of the struggle porn.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So back to because we didn't do.
Okay. Where was I at? Okay. So yeah, seeing her for the first time in that movie, The Crying Game, was when I figured out there is something that actually feels right and registered. And unfortunately, because my mother wasn't really present all through high school, I was running the streets. I was acting crazy. And a lot of insane, unfortunate things did happen to me. But I met my first trans person in Sacramento, and she was outside prostituting. Okay, so if you've ever been to Sacramento, there is this club called Faces, and right behind it, there's this little bar called the Mercantile, and across from it, there's a little shady corner. Little Shady Corner was where all the queer kids prostituted. Mercantile is where all the, the pedophilia old men that get drunk hang out, and Faces is the young pop kid hangout. So like trendy, the older girls, prostitutes. Wow. So being like 15, not allowed to go into a bar, hung out with the prostitutes. And meeting my first trans prostitute, my idea then was to be trans was to be a prostitute.
Oh, wow.
So, young queer child, connecting with RuPaul, seeing my first trans person on a movie where she was a hairdresser, that she did expose herself, but what I noticed was there was like a love story, and she was beautiful, and I was like, I love that. And then meeting this trans woman, and she's telling me that this is what the girls do, this is how we survive, quick talker, shaker, and mover, and I was like, okay, that's not me.
This ain't work for me.
I don't want to be a prostitute.
Yeah, like that.
But reality hits, and unfortunately, a big part of this world is society will push you into that whether you want it or not, and that is a part of my story, and I don't shame it. But at that age, it was, are you fucking serious? So that battle of identity started around 11, 12, 15 was when it was just like, okay, I'm trying to figure it out. I played a lot with gender. I played a lot with expression. I played a lot with sexuality. I'm bi, I've been gay. I'm now a trans queer woman. But I will say around 18, I stopped gender expression and chose to be a gay black man because I met this gentleman and he said he wanted to be with me, but he didn't want anything feminine. And because of the rocky childhood and not having a father figure, not really having a foundation, this was the first time I felt someone stand up for me and want to be with me, so I sacrificed myself to be with this man. I was with that partner for 4 years. We got married. It was very abusive, but this is interesting because once you do the work, you can speak to it. That was comfortable because I was used to trauma. So it's like you search for that trauma in everything you do. So it was like,
it's familiar.
We argue, he kicks my ass, he makes love to me. That's my nigga.
That's bad.
That is bad. He pushed me down the stairs, he whooped my ass. I went to work with Bruce because he's embarrassed. He bought me a car. That's my nigga.
He loves me.
Wow.
He put my head through a wall,
Wow.
embarrassed me at a family function.
Wow.
Family had to come remove me. Got us the new condo. That's my nigga.
Wow.
And that felt so normal. It's like, get your ass whooped, get something new.
I would say something great coming after the ass whooping. That's crazy.
I know that after this heals, I'm gonna be driving around to something new. Bitch, you are mad because you're and the way you justify it, right?
Wow.
Okay, so that didn't work. During this, at 19, I started working for a very big cosmetic brand, and that started taking off. So what was interesting to me though was I noticed that when I was feminine and like gender non-conforming as a child, I was getting my ass whooped. I've been assaulted. I have been molested. I've been raped. The world was kicking my little queer ass. But the moment I stepped into a masculine expression, everything changed for me. And when I started working with Mac, and even with my partner, I noticed that it was just easier to navigate. I wasn't questioned so much. People weren't breathing down my neck, weren't always trying to hear my stuff. Just like everyone was just always in your space. So with my relationship ending, I wanted to get out of Sacramento. And with me learning that masculine expression was making it easy to navigate, I quickly learned to use this as like drag. The more masculine, the easier things were. So I really started going to the gym, doing the tattoos, just lowering my voice, and I was always thinking about like my hand, like how I was walking up. You surround yourself with girls, you look like it was getting weird. Ended up transferring to San Francisco, career was booming, loved it there. And quickly my success started launching, and I became like the it boy for the brand. And I then decided I wanted to grow more because the market in San Francisco is a bit small when it comes to the beauty industry. So I moved to Los Angeles. Career is booming. I moved there with a gentleman, and we had a relationship. And honestly, at this point in my life, I was 26. Things were fucking incredible. And I looked delicious. My prior self. My prior self, wow, he was a hot guy. And it was just really interesting because it started becoming a game where I realized how much power men had and how easy it was for them to manipulate a situation to get with them. I would literally be doing a woman's makeup and purposely put my dick on their knee while I'm doing their makeup.
Come on, like the barbers do.
Just to ensure a second booking, just weird shit. Cause I was like, I know I could manipulate this entire situation by way of misogyny and have this posture where this woman is so excited that a man is giving her attention. And I knew it because I had a feminine energy too. What was interesting is once I got to Los Angeles and I learned this masculine power, his crotch was flashing.
So distracting.
I was like, should I act like that? And now it's like I wanted to look. Like, how does that look? Me looking at a flashing
what that is.
Sorry, it's my phone. I didn't expect it to flash either. So when it happened, I think we all just looked down.
Like,
Yeah, we are. Wow.
Just FYI. It is right here. Just but I'm gonna put it behind me.
I love it. So it was just interesting because I really started owning that power. But what was crazy in the subconscious, it was like I was also having this battle internally where it was like me telling myself, you're lying. Someone's going to see it. Wow. Someone's going to tell on you. Someone's going to catch it. Someone's going to smell it. Someone's going to figure you the fuck out, bitch. And it's like this like internal depression, always trying to hide it. It was getting a little nutty with the way I wanted my body to look so I could fit this mold so people would not see something I was so scared to show.
Wow. So just one quick question. So you weren't, which I've heard stories of like, oh, I started out playing in my mother's clothes and hair. So you didn't have that experience?
When I moved to Sacramento with my mom, those experiences did happen.
Oh.
There were times that my mom would walk in and I'd be in her wigs and her makeup. But again, so the thing is, that time was so wild, and I was doing all of that stuff, and my mom catching it. There was no real structure. It was just like, oh, I'll be back around.
Oh,
you know,
really?
I'm gonna go and visit your stepdad in prison. And he's pulled some stuff away, so it's gonna be a while.
That's
good?
it.
Okay, good. Your cousin's down the street. Let me know. Alright, page me, because it was the 90s.
Go back to playing.
Huh?
Go back to playing.
Okay. Right. It was like, are you in my good shadow? Okay.
Alright.
So was that necessarily a good thing that she didn't come down on you?
I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing. For me, the opportunity was helping me shape what I was dealing with. Showing me support. Helping me get through a confusion, because clearly a young boy, by way of social constructs, is playing in makeup, has your wig on, has on girls' clothes, and is expressing all this feminine identity. The first thing you don't want to do is condone it, but the second thing you also don't want to do is make them feel so free to be this way, because the reality of parenting is it's not even so much your child expressing yourself, it's the perverts who are going to misuse that expression. And really having those honest conversations, because like I skipped over it, but because of that era of me being so flamboyant and so untended to and so expressive, I had a bullseye on my back for perverts. There were times, because my mom was gone, I didn't really have anything to do, and I just wanted to walk down the street as a 13-year-old little gay boy in a half top and little shorts. My mom was letting me bleach my hair because she was a hairdresser. A pervert is literally like, and there were many times that I would get in a grown man's car not knowing what I'm doing.
Wow.
Just thinking I'm having fun, and he likes me in that condition because he's attracted to all of this. Now I'm gonna dress like this more often because you're giving me attention, you're making me feel desired. I'm gonna go sleep with this old man in his car around the corner, whatever we did. And y'all are mad because they cannot take me in the street, right? Because I'm 13, and that makes sense. It's like you just trying to stop my hustle. Bitch, if you don't sit your little, someone needed to kick my ass. That's what really happened. That's where that father figure was needed, because someone should have kicked my ass and then fucked up the men. But so what was crazy about my story was at that moment here in Los Angeles where my job took like this incredible turn. I was promoted to management. I got my own location. Had like a team of 8, got a new condo, new car, standing on my own 2 feet. Me and that guy broke up, I bounced back. I was good. I'll never forget the day coming back from work, and it was like I was just antsy, and I just felt uneasy. And it was just like, it was like something was there, and I walked into my bedroom. I had this huge mirror that leaned against the wall. And I just started like taking off my clothes and looking at myself, and I just kept looking at myself, and then all of a sudden it was like bippity boppity boo, and I saw the chick. And what's even crazier is it's her today.
Wow.
Like, it's me today. Weird shit.
Wow.
Weird shit. So I look in the mirror, and then it was just like, hold on a second. And I just started like looking into my eyes, like looking just into my eyes, and I was like, oh my God. And it was like a voice saying, be yourself. bitch, be yourself. And I was just like, oh my God. It was like, it's like you're in the mirror, it's like, oh my. But it was literally, that presence was like almost me showing up for myself, saying, girl, you can't do this anymore. And it was so crazy. I was like 185 pounds of solid muscle. I was yoked. I was drinking 5 shakes a day to get my mass. I was working out 2 times. It was I was so committed to this idea to be desirable by way of this town. And then it was just like, girl, you ain't that motherfucker. You are not him, lady. And all I remember was that moment. I looked in the mirror and I dropped everything, and I was just like, fuck it. I said, fuck it. And the first thing that came to me was I was gonna lose a lot of people. But my aha moment was I'm about to gain myself. And that's literally what I've skated on in all of this is my father already separated me from the family from being queer. The moment I became trans, I was cut off. Same with my mother, cut off. Siblings, cut off. And it's a fucked up reality to grow up in life as a child with orphan syndrome, with your parents and family at arm's reach. And it's an unfair posture that someone has to learn, but I learned it. And in that, I'm thankful that I at least got to create a tribe of people who authentically love me for who I am, and I know I can lean on it. And regardless if our blood types are different, what I know is they're my motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And going into a family situation, I'm timid. I don't know who the fuck I'm dealing with. I don't know these people. Y'all cut me out real early, and it's like, well, you have to be here because so and so died. I'm gonna. That was our cousin. Okay. So all right,
okay,
y'all
cool.
gotta go.
Cool. Yeah.
I don't even understand. But with all of that said, once the transition was like an aha moment, I remember I was working for Reach LA on a project. And I was doing makeup, and I spoke to the guy that was doing the hair, and I was like just disheveled this day. And he was like, "What's wrong with you?" And I was like, "Oh my God!" And it was so funny because every time I looked stressed, people would say, "You got a girl pregnant," because I did look like the trade. They were like, "You got a girl pregnant." I'd be like, "No, maybe I'm a girl."
Nowhere near what they were thinking.
Ever. Jesus. So, I told him, and he was like, "That's okay. I want you to come to breakfast with me with some friends. I want you to talk to some girls." So I spoke to 2 other trans women at breakfast that day, and he said he was just watching me observe them. And by the way I was observing them, he never told them what I was dealing with, but one of the girls linked in and said, "Is she ready to transition?"
Wow.
And he said, "I think you need to have that conversation with him." And she goes, "You mean with her? Because that's a woman."
Oh, wow.
And he said, literally, we went out to the car, he goes, "Can Kim have your number? She wants to talk to you." And I was like, okay. And then I got, we exchanged numbers, and when I got in the car with him, he was like, "I just want you to know that some people can see you. And even though a lot of us cannot, the girls who have been through it know that with a little bit of time, patience, a lot of estrogen, you will be who you're supposed to be. Just give it a second. Talk to Kim." She gave me my first bottle of estrogen. I was popping those pills. She gave me my first shot, did my little estrogen shot, and then I remembered making the decision to abandon male garments and finally go to work in something a little looser, like starting to really slip silently into who I was. Now, mind you, I worked in cosmetics. I'm a manager. Every day I wore a suit and a tie, and I was known for being him. Bald head, and all of a sudden I have this Rihanna like faux hawk piece that I'm wearing, looser, and people are starting to question everything. And I remember my boss just kind of observed me. He was like, "Oh, you changed your style. Okay, it's cute, whatever." Because we work for one of those brands where it's like it's a facelift, whatever. Go with it.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
We were getting ready for like a conference call on the phone, and she's like going through her papers, and again, like I'm feeling like any minute she's gonna look up and go, "What's wrong with you? Like you're off." So in my head having conversation. She finally looks up and goes, "Baby, what's wrong?" And I go, "I need to talk to you." And she's like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" "You got someone pregnant." And I was like, "No, girl, on the contrary." And she goes, "Well, what is it?" And I was like, "I'm trans." And that was like the first time really, I was like, "I'm trans." And she goes, "Okay, what do you need?" The trauma from childhood was expecting a wall. The trauma from childhood was expecting, bro, we can't have that here. You're going to be terminated. And being now a trans woman, I learned my privilege by transitioning in a space where I was like embraced and like wrapped with love. Mac literally was like, "What do you need? We just want to make sure that our numbers are great."
Okay.
Our first spokesperson was RuPaul. Wow. All ages, all races, all genders. Baby, what do you want? Can you still do your job?
Right.
And it was like, yes, ma'am, I got this. Which was so empowering as I go on this journey. And they even supported me so much too. They allowed me to step down as a manager so I could take time to transition. So they put me in a floor supervisor position in Hollywood. And that's where the majority of my transition took place, because it was really hard transitioning on the job in a space that was seeing you go from man to trans. And that's where you already are dealing with it in your family and your people around you, your associates. It's gonna be hard to get your new name, or it's gonna be hard to start saying, female pronouns. It takes work, but it's about the effort, right? But transitioning to Hollywood and Highlands location and them seeing me come in as a female figure, the respect was in place. They did the extra work. They checked the customers. I was so protected. It wasn't until I was outside the walls of work where I had to feel the blunt reality of what being trans was. Now I'll say, before I transitioned and I knew that I wanted to take this journey, my idea of being a woman was 100% my own, and it was based in what I considered then authentic female expression. So the social construct of being a woman, the dainty, girly, pink, woman, breast, vagina, all of it. Like, that was literally where my brain was. As I started transitioning and submerged myself in the trans world, I quickly learned that that's not a real reality. That a lot of your trans expression isn't your own. Your construct of even your body has to be in alignment with whoever desires you, so you can then feel validated by way of your partner. Even within the queer construct, it's interesting that as a trans woman and being queer, I have to own such a hyper female expression to be respected. But at the same time, my counterpart of, like, for example, being a femme queen, with my counterpart of a butch queen, I have to accept their femininity along with their masculinity, because it's awkward if a trans person, while feminine, also displays masculine. So society is so interesting with how we show up.
Yeah, for
that
sure.
My
for sure.
identity half the time isn't my own. My identity is shaped to make everyone around me comfortable.
Absolutely.
So who I thought I was going to be and how society started shaping me, it took me on this roller coaster of like self-discovery. 6 months into transitioning, I met a man and we talked about a dog. Just kidding. He became my fiance. So quick in my transition, I learned about these train chasers and these men that literally play on trans trauma and look for the girl at the beginning of her transition who is just looking for someone to lean on, is looking for someone to validate her, and almost want to keep them in that space because I feel like they're just as broken in their expression with their identity and showing up as a man who I believe is pansexual, who also is having a hard time accepting that he's not straight, but so scared of being gay, and just this weird shit. And that relationship ended after 4 years. And then so think about this.
Okay.
I started transitioning 6 months. and I'm like trying to find my way. My idea of femininity was one thing. I then learned quickly that it was everyone else's idea of my femininity. Then get with a man. So now my female expression is by way of him, as a wife, as a girlfriend, and I didn't really get to see what dating was like, because I quickly went from let me figure out who I am. And then Prince Charming came, he said, I see you, and I was like, this is my husband. So then I had to deal with his weird shit. He didn't want me to get boobs. He didn't want me to take hormones. He didn't want me to get bi. And I was like, do you just want a boy in a wig? I'm not gay! And I was like, oh my god, this is all so confusing. Just weird shit. And it wasn't until after him when I finally, well, actually he ended that relationship, but when that relationship ended, when I was out dating again, that I didn't see the real shit of being trans, and just the way that our world operates in the shadows, and that's when things got real fucked up. But through every obstacle, through every challenge, I grew a little bit. It wasn't until around 35 I was the face of this trans club, and we were shutting down. We were having a party that night, and I got really, really shit-faced. And that night I don't remember how I got home, but I woke up the next morning in my bed, and I went to use the restroom, and semen came out of me, and I realized that someone had been in my house, and I realized that clearly someone else had slept with me. And when we talk about like safe sex, like I was that person that condom on deck. So when you go to the restroom and semen comes out of you, it's like,
yeah.
Okay, drunk sex is one thing, but even in that, I know me. So someone, whatever this is not right. And what ended up happening was I called a friend. They did not support me, another trans person, and they said, this is what happens to the girls, deal with it.
Oh wow.
No one's gonna ever, give you a handout. Mama, you need to understand that no one give a shit about you but you. So you need to do better, be better, girl. I gotta go. That's what it felt like.
Absolutely. I'm like that right now. Like
I crumbled. I remember it was like the heat of summer. I started dressing like a Muslim woman. I didn't want my arms showing. Covered my hair. I went crazy for like 2 years.
Wow.
I went crazy. It's not funny, but I did. Like, looking at it, I lost it for a little bit because I was so broken and so violated, and it was just like I couldn't catch a break. I literally felt like a rock underneath the ocean tumbling, and I just couldn't find the top. It got to the point where I was literally gonna commit suicide. I wrote the note, and I was rehearsing for a play, and this is how sick I was. The note was at home, and I told myself before I left the house, if I don't get a solution by the end of tonight, girl, you're doing it, because it can't get any worse. I did practice, and someone at practice said, you know that church down the way? It was one church. And I was like, no, I don't. Yeah, girl, you should check it as a real inclusive space. You seem a little down, but it always cheers me up. So after that, I literally walked to one church, and I walked in that church, and I just remember it was like something was telling me not to give up.